All right, guys, today we are diving into a case that is both heartbreaking and just deeply, deeply frustrating on like a visceral level. So this case is so important. I didn't want to wait. You can obviously tell I have no makeup on. It's not going to be a fancy edit. I just really wanted to get this video out there as soon as possible because it is incredibly important, and it's the case of 14-year-old Emily Pike, a Native American girl from the San Carlos Apache tribe who was found brutally murdered after disappearing from her group home in Mesa, Arizona. And let me just tell you, this case feels shady, feels wrong, feels mishandled, and not getting nearly enough attention as it should be. And I'll explain as we're going all of the missteps along the way. Because this case is one of those that just sticks with you. Not only because of the tragic way that it ended, but because of all of the questions surrounding it, the lack of answers, the delay in action, and the broader issue at hand here, how Indigenous women and girls continue to go missing at an unspeakably alarming rate with very little national attention. The manager of the group home that Emily disappeared from is also speaking out, and I have some thoughts on it. So guys, let's get right into it.
This is 10 to Life with Elise.
As a mom, I know how hard it is to get your kids to eat all of the nutrients that they need every day, all the vitamins, all the good stuff, because a lot of the time, if your kids are like mine, if it's grain or if it has any semblance of a vegetable, they are like steering clear of it. Although chocolate, that is the one thing that my daughter Emmy will eat every single time. And she's a pretty picky eater, so trying to get her all of her vitamins and nutrients is usually a challenge. But that is why I am so happy that Beam finally developed this product, because it is Beam Kids. It's the all-in-one nutritional super powder that makes life so much easier. It's packed with prebiotics, probiotics, organic greens, fruits, vitamins, and minerals, delivering over 40 essential ingredients to support growth, immunity, digestion, and focus. And the best part is it's vegan, gluten-free, allergen-free, dairy-free, and nut-free. I used to try all sorts of different vitamins, superfoods, all of those things, but it was a battle trying to get her and even Theo to consume it and like digest it. This makes it so easy because literally it tastes like chocolate milk. It is so simple. And unlike other kids' supplements, Beam Kids was pediatrician formulated and third-party tested to ensure that it is the best of the best. It has 13 times the vitamins compared to top competitors and 85% less sugar than even the lowest sugar gummies out there. Because let's be real, kids' gummies are usually just like candy in disguise, right? They are jam-packed with all sorts of different sugars. And like I said, what really sold Emmy on this is the fact that it tastes like chocolate milk. Seriously, she now is asking for it after dinner. She wants her chocolate milk every night. And it's like, hello, it has all of the superfoods in it, super powders, all the things. Like, of course I'm gonna give it to her. It's everything that she needs in one easy drink. So if you have a picky eater like I do, you need to try Beam Kids because it is a game changer in this space. I mean, honestly, look at all of these reviews. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not happy with it for any reason, you get your money back. There's really no reason and no risk not to try it. Your kids' health just got so much easier. So get up to 35% off Beam Kids plus a free frother and free travel pack when you use code 10tolifekids at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/10tolifekids and use code 10tolifekids at checkout for up to 35% off plus a free frother. Emily was just 14 years old. A shy, artistic girl with a huge, big, beautiful smile, a love for all things pink, all things sparkly, and she had major dreams of going to college. She was being raised within her tribal community, but at some point, she ended up in the foster care system under the supervision of Tribal Social Services. And that detail is key, Tribal Social Services, and I will explain why. Now, details about why she was placed in this group home haven't been made public, but what we do know is that her family was very much still a part of her life. Her grandmother, Agatha Key, is just absolutely devastated, calling Emily her only granddaughter. Her uncle, Allred Pike Jr., has also been speaking out, saying that their family is determined to get justice for Emily. So Emily was living in a group home in Mesa, Arizona, as I mentioned, and on the night of January 27th, 2025, around 7:45 p.m., she walked out of the facility. This was near Mesa Drive and McKellips Road. Now, this wasn't the first time. She had run away before, and according to reports, police had even responded to this particular group home over 80 times in the past 3 years. And out of all of those 80 times, 42 of the calls were for missing persons. And get this, 30 kids had gone missing from this specific group home in 3 years. That is an insanely outlandish number. What's happening in that home? What's going on? What is causing all of these children to run away, to have that many calls in such a short period of time? And my question too is, what are the kids within that home saying? What's the information they're sharing? What are the conditions like? And I'm not trying to cast blame on the home. Maybe they're not problematic or at fault here, but we're usually, for me at least, I don't try to be a pessimist all the time, but where there's smoke, there's fire. And if that many calls and kids are going missing or running away, generally I would imagine that there's a root cause for that. And let's just be real here. With Emily, this was not some rare occurrence because kids were constantly leaving this place. Yet there doesn't really seem to be much effort being made to stop it. So the question is, when Emily left that night, did someone know she was leaving? Did someone she know pick her up? Did she leave willingly? Or was she taken? Now, because we now know how this story ends, it is a horrifying thing to think about. And if you don't know how it ends, don't worry, I will get there. And I just want to mention, we all know that cases involving missing and murdered Indigenous women is just vastly underreported. But as my research, and I'll be honest, I'm still educating myself. I've learned a lot, but there is still a lot I need to learn as well. But through educating myself and researching, what I have seen a lot of the times is that not only is it underreported and lack of resources, but that a lot of the times when kids specifically are taken or go missing, that it is done intentionally to sell them to a predator for perverse reasons, and that they almost unfortunately are at a greater risk because of the underreporting. And like I said, I'm still educating myself, and I'm not saying that that is what happened here with Emily, but I do feel like I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't at least mention that and have that call to action, just so that you can do your own research and try to be as educated as possible, like I'm trying to do as well, about this situation. Now, with Emily's case, here's where things get even more frustrating. The Arizona Department of Child Safety requires that when a child goes missing, they have to be reported within 24 hours. That's a rule. However, that rule does not apply to tribal social services. And like I said, that's what Emily was under the care of. She was under the custody of the San Carlos Apache Tribe Social Services. That's when she disappeared from the group home in Mesa. So it was almost as though not a loophole, but a way to skirt around the rule. I will say the Mesa police definitely did their part. They reported Emily as missing to the National Crime Information Center that same day that she vanished, January 27th. But from there, it was then on the group home to notify her case manager, who then in turn should have contacted Emily's family or the tribe. But that didn't happen. Her mom, Steph, said that she didn't even know that Emily was missing until a week later. A full week. Which, as the president of one of these many advocacy groups had said and kind of put it, she's like, imagine what probably had already transpired by that full week. So for weeks, her family was left wondering where Emily was. But then, on February 14th, almost 3 weeks later, Emily's remains were found. Her remains were found on the side of the road off Highway 60, right near Globe, Arizona. Now, what's particularly disturbing about this is how she was found, because she had been stuffed into black contractor trash bags and then just dumped on the side of a forest road. Her body was dismembered, her hands and legs were missing, and based on the reports, she had also suffered severe trauma to her face and head. And just to put this in perspective, that location where she was found was 100 miles away from where she was last seen. So whoever did this, they had time, they had control, they had a plan. And it was also said that investigators do not believe that Emily was killed at the same location where she was found. They believe that that was a dump site. And here's where things, for me at least, start to feel even more frustrating. Because despite the involvement of multiple agencies, I'm talking the county sheriff's office, the FBI, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the San Carlos Apache Tribal Police, there have been no arrests, no named suspects, no leads publicly released, nothing. They also really didn't even want to release her name at first, and I'll talk about that. But the authorities have obtained surveillance footage from the area where Emily went missing. They've also conducted interviews. They've done, as much, I'm saying that loosely, information and investigation as they could, but nothing has been made public. And this is what really makes people mad, because time and time again, cases involving Indigenous victims do not seem to get the same level of coverage or urgency in the media. Not by a stretch. Remember, Emily's family wasn't even notified that she was missing until a week after she disappeared. A week! Imagine what could have been done in those early hours. What could have been possibly prevented if people had acted sooner, if people started searching sooner. And let me just say, the statistics on missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, they're absolutely chilling, because they are disappearing at 10 times the national average. And when they do go missing, cases are often ignored, they're mishandled, or they're lost in this absolute mess and disaster of jurisdiction confusion between tribal, state, federal authorities, everybody who's involved in this. And because of this, Arizona lawmakers are now pushing House Bill 2281, which it would expand Amber Alerts to include missing Indigenous individuals. It's already passed the House, and now it's waiting for Senate approval. But even with that, it makes you wonder, why does it take cases like Emily's, cases that are horrific, for real change to even be considered? As you can imagine, Emily's family has been very outspoken. They are demanding answers. They are just absolutely pushing for justice. Her mom even said, quote, "She was just a baby." And she's right. Emily was only 14 years old. She should have been worried about school, friendships, whatever TV show she was binging at the moment and obsessed over. She shouldn't have had to worry about being safe in a group home that was supposed to protect her, which we will get to what they had to say about all of this in just a moment. And I know you can tell that I'm heated, guys, and I tried to calm myself down before recording this, but it's just so unacceptable on so many different levels. Now, Emily's cousins, Jaden and Tyrea, both 15 years old, grew up with Emily. They grew up with her on the San Carlos Apache Reservation. The three of them reportedly were inseparable, always together, always laughing. And Jaden remembers Emily as funny, kind, full of life, saying she loved animals, K-pop, and spending hours playing Roblox. And even after Emily moved to the group home, she would still call them pretty often. The last time they talked was just weeks before she disappeared, and here's what I find interesting. Emily had told her cousin that she was going to be coming back to the reservation soon, specifically within a month. So Jaden and her other cousin, Tyrea, were already making plans. They were excited to be reunited. They called themselves the trio. They were excited for shopping trips, all of the things that they would do once she was home. But now, in this interview that she gave with her cousin sitting right beside her, Jaden's voice broke as she said, "We're not going to have a trio anymore." Her uncle, Allred Pike Jr., also said that they will not stop fighting until somebody is held accountable, and I obviously don't blame them. He also said that it's been especially hard on the family because his brother, Emily's dad, is behind bars at the moment for arson and criminal damage. So the family is really working to get some special permissions put in place so that he can come to his daughter's services. And he said, quote, "That's the hardest part. My brother is not able to be here. When she went missing, he was calling and asking if she had been found yet." Now, here's the thing about this, okay? Somebody knows what happened. Somebody took Emily. Somebody hurt her. Somebody dumped her body like garbage. And as of right now, they're still out there. So as I said, the group home manager agreed to answer True Crime Arizona correspondent Brianna Whitney's questions. And I just want to read a few of them to you and get your thoughts on these. Question number 1. Is it mandatory to report the kids missing when they leave? What is that protocol with the police department? The answer: yes, the group home must report all children as missing, even if they leave to go to the store without permission. Majority of our reports are regarding the same child leaving without any permission. Next question. When a kid runs away, why doesn't the staff go and search for them? The answer: we are a standard group home. We are a hands-off facility. We will never put our hands on a child. The only reason to even touch a child is to keep them safe from harm. For example, if they're running into ongoing traffic when they're upset. We have been known to call Mesa police and stay on the phone and follow our children until the police come and assist us, which is always immediately when our children are a danger to themselves or others. But what I found interesting about this question is they're not asking why you don't grab them and pull them and stop them from running, because that's what it appears this answer is. They're saying, no, we're a hands-off facility. We don't touch them. We'll follow them on foot until the police come and then they can get involved, which, fair, I understand that, but that wasn't the question. The question was, when a kid runs away, why doesn't staff go search for them? Not touch, go search for them. So I felt, to me, and I could be reading into it, tell me what you think, but I felt like the answer was trying to kind of like evade the question a little bit, okay? The next question, are there 30 kids missing? And how many of those are accounted for now or came back? They said, no, there are not 30 missing children from our home. All of our children who have been reported missing have been accounted for. Those children who did not return to the home were then placed in other facilities for many different reasons, including a higher level of care for their safety. Safety always comes first. The next question, which I think is very, very important here. Why are they running away in the first place? Is there a better way to prevent them from running away in the first place? Exactly, that's my question. Why are so many kids running away from this home? So they said, children run away for many reasons, to include missing their family, which the state has an amazing system set up for children to visit with their families with permission from guardians, and the group home helps with visitation as well to ensure the visitation is increased whenever possible, to missing their friends because they're not used to following rules or structure, because they have mental health conditions, etc. Which, fair. I understand that people, and children especially, who are temperamental, not fully matured and all that, could run away for a vast majority of reasons, whether it is missing your friends, being rebellious, wanting to do your own thing, not wanting rules, fine. This many kids in that window of time, because let me just remind you, let me go back up here really quick where I wrote down the statistic. Over 80 times there were calls in the past 3 years, and out of those 80, 42 calls were for missing persons. 30 kids had gone missing from this specific home in 3 years. So while I understand kids run away, I'm just curious to know, and maybe somebody out there knows this question because you've either worked in a group home, have been in a group home, or have looked up the research and statistics. What's the national average? How many kids typically run away per year from group homes? You know what? Let's ask Siri that. Siri, what is the national average for how many kids run away per year from group homes?
Here's what I found.
Let's say this is a total year. It says between 1.6 million and 2.8 run away each year. I see that this is in total, but how many per group home? She's not answering. Let's see. Let's go to ChatGPT, shall we? What is the national average for how many children run away from a specific group home every year? Let's see. It says there's not a national average by group home, but that overall runaways in a given year, approximately 1% of children in foster care run away. So I'm not good at math, so let's do this. If 30 kids went missing in 3 years, and that's 1% of the total capacity of the group home, what is the total capacity? You guys are probably laughing at me. You're probably like, it's like 300, Annie. That's 1%. Is that 1% or is that 30? I don't know. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, let's see if ChatGPT is smart, and you guys tell me because my brain is fried right now. But it says if 30 kids went missing in 3 years, and that represents 1% of the total capacity, then the group home would have a total capacity of 3,000 kids, which I've seen pictures of this group home, and I'm not going to out it, but it's a single family residence. We obviously know that's not the case. And again, that also accounts for turnover for new people, and this is 30 over 3 years, so you could arguably say on the average it's 10 per year, so then it would be 1,000 kids, which even still, I don't know how often they're shuffling in and out. So I know I just went off on a tangent, but my point in all of that, and I'm going to get back to these questions here, is what's the national average? Because 30 in 3 years seems high. So although they're saying, yeah, they run away for a multitude of reasons, is that in line with the national average, or is there something off with this particular group home? Again, I apologize that I just went off the rails for a minute. So then the next question, do you believe that the public has a misconception of the group home? Answer, yes, I realize people don't have all the facts. We trust law enforcement to provide justice for Emily. Our group home puts everything we can into our children. We've been open for 24 years, and we are still in contact with 95% of the children who have lived in our home. We have children who have graduated college, who are currently in college, who have amazing successful businesses, who have large, beautiful families, and we parent our children and sometimes their families. We are all about reunification of children and families. We do the best that we can with our children to make sure that they have the best chance at a bright future. We want to create the most normal environment for them as possible. They take vacations, participate in sports, attend sporting events, and we treat our children as if we have birthed them ourselves. All of our children receive mentors. So right now, we are hurting. Right now, we are devastated. And then this last question, how long has this group home been open? And do you have all Native kids from the reservations? Answer, the group home has been open for 24 years. The owner of the group home has been working in the field of children and families for 35 years. She has a 35-year history of advocating for children and families. The group home has many contracts. Also, children are placed in group homes for safety when all other resources have been exhausted. Group homes are not a punishment. They are a temporary support resource. We ask that the public allow the police to complete their investigation for Emily's sake and for the sake of her family. Her soul deserves to be at peace. She did not deserve this. Agreed. She did not deserve this, but again, feels a little like they're skirting around answering it, this question, because the question was not only how long have they been open. Great, you answered that. But do you have all Native kids from the reservations? And instead, the answer was more lengthy about how long they've been open and what the history of the owner is, which, okay, fair, I get it. You want to say that she's qualified and that she has a great history of advocating for children and families. But then it says, for the answer of the actual question, do you have all Native kids from reservations? The group home has many contracts. That's it. That's it. That's all they said. So since all of this first started, DCS has opened a licensing inquiry into this group home. And I want you to take a listen.
Emily's case is not the first missing persons case stemming from that same Mesa group home, which 12 News is not identifying for privacy reasons. Mesa police say there were 3 prior calls involving Emily back in 2023. And in the past 3 years, police data shows there have been 89 calls for service to the group home. 42 of those were for a missing person. 30 of those calls resulted in reports being taken. The reason a report would not be taken can vary, but can often be because the person was quickly found.
Every child deserves to be safe.
January Contreras leads Children's Action Alliance and advocates for less children to be placed in group homes.
I come back to the solution of supporting families, supporting grandparents, many grandparents, aunts, uncles ready to step in. We need to do that, and we need to recruit more foster homes as well.
DCS says while it doesn't believe any action taken or not taken by the group home caused the terrible outcome in Emily's case, they've opened a licensing inquiry to determine whether appropriate steps were taken by the group home, as investigators still work to find Emily's killer. And Governor Lewis's bill advances at the legislature. Contreras hopes Emily's tragic death leads to change. And we have asked Mesa Police how many missing persons cases stemming from that group home over the past 3 years remain open today. They're combing through their data to find that answer for us. And the last update I received from the Gila County Sheriff's Office was that they are continuing to turn up new leads in Emily's case, but still no suspects have been identified.
This case is haunting for so many reasons. It's the sheer brutality of it, what happened to Emily, the fact that this is a 14-year-old girl who went missing, her family wasn't notified for a week, and then she turns up dismembered. Also, the lack of answers in this case, and the realization that there are so many girls like Emily Pike out there. Girls who disappear without a trace, families who are left grieving without any closure. Emily deserved better. Her family, of course, deserves justice. And I'm about to share with you something about this case that will probably really anger you as it did me. First of all, I want to start with this. The outpouring from the community has been powerful because people have been covering their mouths with their hands or painting a red handprint over their lips, which is a symbol that is tied to the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls movement. And they're doing this demanding justice and really refusing to let Emily's name be forgotten in all of this. Across vigils, murals, social media, I mean, the message has been crystal clear. Say her name. And it is especially important in this case because at first, the authorities were not even releasing Emily's name. For days, she was just another unidentified victim, another Indigenous girl lost in a system that, quite honestly, too often fails all of them. It wasn't even until her name was leaked by chance, not intentionally put out there, leaked. It wasn't even until then that the public even knew what her name was or who she was. So this is exactly why covering this case and saying her name truly matters. Too many Indigenous women and girls go missing, and too many cases go ignored. So saying her name means refusing to let Emily's story be buried in silence. It means demanding justice. It means making sure that this doesn't happen to another girl. And if you're listening, and if you want to help, or you want more resources, and you want to educate yourself, I will have links in the description to different resources supporting missing Indigenous women and children, as well as links to updates in Emily's case. And I want to know your thoughts because do you think that there is more to this case that is not being revealed? Do you think that the group home has more responsibility here? Who is responsible for this? Did somebody know she was leaving, or was it just some sick freak who came across her by chance because she was trying to get home to the reservation, did perverse, disgusting, horrible things to her? And I'm not trying to say she was assaulted in any way. We don't know that, but I mean more from like dismembering this innocent girl's body. Or is this deeper and like, is the group home trying to like skirt responsibility? It's just so frustrating for so many different reasons. And I think the main thing that I want to say on here and why I'm so worked up and wanted to just jump on and get this out there is because we're a strong community, right? We all come together when we know that it's very important. And I think we all need to continue to just say her name. Emily Pike, Emily Pike, Emily Pike. We will all continue to fight for you to make sure that you and your family get justice and that things change because this is unacceptable. And I will be on this case like glue and will be giving you updates as soon as we know them. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That way you will not miss these updates as they come out. Thank you guys for hearing Emily Pike's story today. And as always, stay safe. Bye.